In today's video, we are going to look at a game played between Boleslavshky versus G. Lisitin. I know that I am not pronouncing the names correctly. In Sicilian defense browser attack. And this game is the best example to understand that how one knight can dominate the whole game. And that one knight can dominate in such way that your opponent's pieces does not have squares to move to. E4, c5, now knight f3, d6, Sicilian defense, d4, c into d4, knight into d4, knight f6, knight c3. Now, there are many ways, but black went out for the dragon type structure. Now g6, bishop e3, bishop g7, now f3. The point of this f3 move is always common in this against Sicilian defense is that you does not want the knight to come over here on g4 and challenge this bishop on e3. So black castles, now queen d2 as white is castling long side, knight c6 challenging the knight, long castle, knight into d4. And it was played in 1956 and the theory was not developed too much. Nowadays, the main move over here is d5, immediately challenging the center. And this is the mainline theory in the Roser attack actually. Regarded as fine for black because after e into e5, knight into d5, knight into c6, b into c6, bishop d4 challenging the bishop, knight into c3 first, queen into c3, bishop h6, giving the check, white blocks it, bishop into e3, queen into e3, and queen b6. And this is considered to be an equal game for black, but instead he went out for the move knight into d4 immediately. Bishop into d4 and now queen a5, king b1 as the pawn on a2 was threatened by the queen. Now white is threatening to play the move knight to d5. But black went out for the move e5, challenging the bishop. Bishop has to move back, bishop e3. Now the pawn on d6 is being threatened. So bishop e6, developing the bishop. And now black's threat is that I'm going to give you the pawn on d6. But my pieces would be highly developed. And it would be a mistake if white takes this pawn. For example, if white takes this pawn, now bishop into a2 check. King has to move back, king c1, now rook f d8. The queen has to move. Queen a3 challenging the queen, now rook d1 check first. King into d1 and now queen into a3. B into a3 and here you may see that black species are very much active. And white has a little bit edge in this position. But in the game, he went out for the move a3. Now, rook f8, protecting the pawn. Knight b5, asking that exchange the queens. And here, actually, black made the blunder of the game. And from here, you would understand that why I chose this game. He played the move queen a4. But the best way to play over here was to take the queen. After rook into d2, now d5. Challenging pawn, knight c7, hitting the bishop and the rook, rook ac8, knight took the bishop, f into e6. And this was the best way to play the game. But he played the move queen a4, and that was a mistake. Now I want you people to pause the video and you want to create an outpost of this knight over here when it is not challenged by any of the pieces, by bishop and knight. It can't be challenged. You have to create a post in this way. The move is easy one and difficult one also to find. You have to create the post of this knight over here on d5 in such a way that it is not being challenged by bishop on e6 and knight on f6. Think, think, think. And the move which was played in the game was c4, giving up the pawn. Because now after bishop into c4, knight c3, hitting the queen first. Queen b3, bishop into c4. Queen into c4. Now one of the defenders of this post has been gone. Now it is time to take the another defender. Bishop to g5. Now it's threatening to take this post. Queen e6 was played. Now bishop into f6, queen into f6, knight d5. And this knight is so dominant in this position that due to this knight, white won the game. And white is now like playing with the piece up. Now black played the move queen h4. The threat is bishop to h6. So white avoided it by playing the move queen e2. Now bishop f8 was played, protecting the pawn on d6. Now queen f1. The point of playing the move queen f1 was that now white wants to play the move g3 and start an attack on this king side. Rook ac8 was played by black. Still, the position is okay. Now g3 challenging the queen. Queen moves back. Queen d5, h4. Asking black to take this pawn. But then his queen might be trapped. Queen moves back. Queen h6. Now g4. Now you see that how dominant is this knight. This bishop is doing just defending job of this pawn. This rook is doing just defending job of this pawn on d6. This bishop has no proper squares to move to. And it is like that black is playing one piece down. And here white made a mistake by playing the move g5 himself, letting open the white rook. What was the best defense in this position, as white was threatening to play the move g5? Black can still linger on by the move queen g7. But after g5, and now white is threatening to play the move h5, you have to play the h5 move yourself. G into h6, queen into h6, now h5. White is still better. And it is not an easy thing to face on the board because you have to find every accurate move to defend. So that's why he slumbered black, Lisitin, and he played the move g5. Now the game is over because h into g5, queen into g5, and now rook h5. Queen g6. Now you see that what is the best move in this position. Can you see that? You have to open up this king side. What is the best move? I'm going to give you a hint that this is knight controlling this f6 square, which is going to give the check to king. How to open up this? If you play this move immediately, then this queen takes the pawn and gives the check. How to prepare it? g5. This was the move in the. Now white is threatening to play the move knight f6 check and then going to pick up this pawn. It was better for black to play the move king h8. But now queen h3. and it was roundabout over for black. But in the game, he played the move h6 and it was immediately over because now rook into h6. The point is that if this bishop takes the rook, now knight e7 check wins the queen. So queen into pawn. And this was the last move of the game where black resigned, and that was rook h5. You can't take this rook because this knight check wins the game. And this whole file to the black king is being opened. This bishop has no square, proper square to move to. And that's why in this position, black resigned the game. So from over here, you understand actually the game started from this move, c4. Now you understand the concept that how he took out both of these two defenders of this square and posted his knight over here. And then he opened up the whole king side, just sacrificing his one of the pawns. So if you like my video, kindly subscribe and hit the bell icon button. Thank you very much.